What is up, you guys? Teller checking in for the recap of UFC Vegas 78. We're filming this early Monday morning. It's raining outside. It's a great way to kick off a long week, right? A nice rainy Monday morning. You guys know the old saying, though, right? I believe it was Thomas Jefferson. We out here, whether it's raining or sunshine. So, and honestly, it doesn't really have too much of an impact on me, right? Because I'm filming this inside in my nice air-conditioned studio here. So it is what it is, as Max Holloway also once said. All right, so, this was a very frustrating fight card for me. You guys are going to find out why here. It started off very good for me with my first official play. You guys know how we do it here, though. We're going to start at the bottom of this card, work our way up. If you guys are wanting to check out my full prediction video for UFC 292, I've had that up since Saturday morning. I'm very excited for that fight card. What else? I will be filming Dana White's Contender Series Week 2 right after I film this, so you guys can expect to see that up here right after you see this video up. And then also check it out, man. My boy is actually kicking off Week 2. Charalampos Gregorio, the Greek fighter there. He's taking on Cameron Smotherman. And this is an interesting card there too, because the Greek's kicking off the card, and then you got two Turkish fighters after him. And I actually was just chatting it up with Gregorio the other day on Instagram, and he is very, very ready for this opportunity. So I'm excited to jump into that fight card as well. All right, let me not go on too much more. Let's stay on track here. Let's kick things off. We're talking about Luana Santos and Juliana Miller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.
So the young judokian prospect Luana Santos came through and got the knockout in the first round over Juliana Miller. Juliana Miller now 3-3. We talked about how she's been active on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu scene and all that. This is a fighter that's really not worthy of being on the UFC roster, if you want to be quite honest. Juliana Miller, she's 27 years old. She needs to go put in some more work and see if she could potentially make her way back to the octagon, but she's just not a UFC caliber fighter, and it's not a good look for the organization having a fighter like that performing on these cards, if you ask me. Luana Santos, she impressed me. I wasn't expecting to see that much from her on the feet. You guys know I wasn't really that impressed with what I've seen from her striking wise, but I thought that she would have used her grappling and her judo skills to get on top and probably push a decision there. But a good win for her there. Damon Blackshear pulls off the twister on Jose Johnson there. Jose Johnson, a fighter that's been around the block for some time, right? He's had opportunities on Dana White's Contender Series. He's dropped the ball there, but he's had some big wins in the regional scene. We know he's a talented fighter, does struggle with his grappling at times. We remember Ronnie Lawrence took advantage of that on Dana White's Contender Series. And shout out to Ronnie Lawrence. I believe he's temporarily retired from the fight game. If you guys didn't know, he's going through some health issues, and I wish him all the best. Hopefully we see him back. But Damon Blackshear, he is really, really coming to right now. We know that he's been training with Jackson Wink for some time. He's only 29 years old, and he's on a 2-fight winning streak right now, 2 finishes in a row, and the one loss coming by way of Farid Basharat, who's a very talented fighter also. So I think that Blackshear is showing that he is a dangerous fighter in the bantamweight division. You keep an eye on him. Jacqueline Amorim, she finishes Montserrat Ruiz in the third round, which was a great look for her because we had a lot of question marks about her conditioning and cardio, and she got that late stoppage there. Talk about another fighter that you want to keep an eye on, Jacqueline Amorim. Let's see what kind of momentum she can continue going into her next couple of fights there. Martine Budet pulls off the first round. Komura over Josh Parisian. It's good to see that Budet cleaned up his act a little bit because I was not impressed with the fight that he had beforehand against Jake Collier, where I thought that he could have looked better and he had a slow start there, but he did what he should have did against Josh Parisian. But his performance in his recent fight kind of made me pump the brakes with throwing some official action on him there. I'm not a big fan of Josh Parisians either, but I stayed away from that fight. And, obviously in retrospect, maybe I should have threw a couple units at Buday. I thought the line was a little high though. Now talking about units, how about a 3-unit play on Isaac Dalgarian? I caught it at plus 145. That's how I kicked this card off. Obviously that brought in some serious units back. A great victory there. Now listen, if you guys remember when we broke this fight down, I was very torn on who I was going to go with, and I slightly edged Francis Marshall. Based on the fact that he already has that octagon experience, he's a decently well-rounded fighter. Isaac Dalgarian really has showed a lot of skills with his wrestling. We haven't seen the striking play out that much in his tape, and he's been fighting a lot of low-level talent. That kind of edged me towards Francis Marshall at the time. But you guys understand how this game works, man. We had an entire week for things to progress. And in fact, I hopped up in the comment section, I believe that Monday, right after I uploaded this video. The more I was looking at this fight and kind of digging into Dalgarian, I knew I was throwing action on him with the value on his line. But then the more I was actually seeing the wrestling skills that he had, and although we didn't see too much striking from him, I had a feeling that if the fight even took place on the feet for a long period of time, that he actually would have shown us something. He seems very athletic. He's a gamer. And that's why, again, go to the video of the prediction video, and you will see that I had an extensive comment that I put there. Wanted to make sure I had that there for you guys. I didn't want to hear nothing from you guys. So I did swap my pick to Isaac Dalgarian. You guys understand how this game goes, man. We have an entire week leading up to the fights. After I'm putting these videos out, man, there's knowledge coming my way. Certain things are coming, into light. So if you see me really on the fence with the fight, that could periodically happen. I'll make sure that I hit the comment section up though, and make sure I have my receipts there. Okay. I don't want to just be saying, one thing and then just, you guys know how it is, man. I try to keep it real with you guys. So I want to have my receipts in the comment section. I will make sure that's always the case if I swap up a pick. And then also on Instagram, the day of the fights, you see my official selections. I had Isaac Dalgarian selected as well. So we cashed on Isaac Dalgarian, and great value. He's a stud. He's a gamer. Went in there, smashed Francis Marshall. The more I was breaking down some of Francis Marshall's tape too, I saw some holes. He's tough, but he is there to be hit at times. And listen, he has wrestling skills, but I mean, he was ripped down to the mat. He was mopped up and ground and pounded. So, great hit to kick the card off there. And I'm excited to see what Isaac Dalgarian continues to bring to that featherweight division. So, after that, Terrence McKinney just made quick work of Mike Breeden. You guys knew what it was with this fight. We talked about it. McKinney was obviously going to be the much more talented and polished fighter. He does have some issues at times with his fight IQ and his chin. Was Mike Breeden going to be able to capitalize on that? Most likely not. It was a decently high line though. And I don't know, did some of you guys throw that in a parlay? I'm sure some of you guys did. Let me know if you guys did. And then you know what? We had Marcus McGee cracking JP Bays within 2 minutes. This was depressing if you ask me. I really wanted to see JP snag up one official victory in the octagon, and I don't think that we ever will see that. He's still relatively young, but I just don't think the UFC gives him another opportunity. And if I'm being quite frank, I think he could have a major layoff from the game, and I just don't think his chin's ever going to come back. I don't think he has it. I don't think he could take a shot. And I had a conversation with JP Bays, man, on Instagram. I swear to you guys, I had a conversation one night with him for about 2 hours. Okay. We literally went back and forth, in the DMs. He DM'd me first because of a video that I put out. Some of you guys probably remember that video, and he wanted to kind of like thank me for, saying something because he didn't want to say anything about the situation. And next thing you know, I talked to him for about 2 hours there. And some of the stuff, man, that we talked about, you guys think you feel bad for him for what you kind of know about that situation. Imagine how I feel for the dude. Now, I do feel, we talked about alpha syndrome and all that, but, you guys know I was diagnosed from early age with alpha syndrome. Maybe there's some things he could have handled better. You got to be alpha, man. If these girls are playing around, you got to be quick to let them go. But at the same time, you never fully know everyone's situation, so I won't judge too harshly there. And it's tough sometimes, man. It's tough when you feel like you love somebody and all that. So, but you know what? He's doing good now, at least mentally. It seems he completely got past that, and he's just trying to go out there and get a W in an MMA fight at this point, because I don't think he'll be fighting under the UFC banner, if we're being quite honest. And maybe he can have some success over in Bellator or PFL, but I don't even see it, man. I think he's going to get cracked up by anyone he steps in there with, unless he's really going on to the low regional scene and he's using his wrestling to dominate some low level fighters. All right, so that was sad there. Josh Fremd gets the decision over Jamie Pickett. AJ Dobson takes out Tafon Chukwi. This was a tough one for me here. I had three unit plays here. I did have a 3-unit play on Tafon and Chukwi. Caught it at minus 140. It wasn't too bad of a line as far as I was concerned going into this fight. AJ Dobson's a fighter that has shown issues with his wrestling. Showed really just to not be able to go out there and get the job done since he's joined the UFC. He had that one big win on Dana White's Contender Series. I thought that Tafon showed a lot more going into this fight. Like we talked about the Azamat fight where Tafon was winning that fight up to the very, very end where he got caught with a shot. But tit for tat, I mean, he was a step ahead of a fighter like Azamat Mirzakhanov, who I'm very high on. I thought that Tafon was going to go out here and outpoint AJ Dobson. At the very least, he looked to be in phenomenal shape going into this fight, cutting down to the middleweight division. I thought it was going to be a perfect move for him. It just wasn't the case. He had early success with the leg kicks and then struggled with his takedown defense, which he never really showed to have that bad of a takedown defense throughout his career. AJ Dobson's never really showcased that good at wrestling. And AJ Dobson was just more game. It's the fight game, man. You see evolution in a lot of these fighters' games, and sometimes it kind of catches you off guard, right? I mean, Tafon, to me, you break down tape. I spent a lot of time last week breaking down tape on AJ Dobson and Tafon Nchukwi, and Chukwi was the better fighter, man. I don't know, man. There's so many things that seemed that were going his way. 28 years old, you know, the polished kickboxing background, power, and no. All right, so that was frustrating. Yasman Lucindo takes out Poliana Viana. This was another one I kind of regretted. I could have caught Yasman Lucindo right around that 2-1 minus 200 line. I probably should have threw it. You know, I was kind of avoiding it as a women's mixed martial arts fight. Poliana Viana is shown to be pretty game as of recently. But I'll tell you what, I was very close to doing it because Lucindo's striking looks very sharp. When you take a look at some of her fights, her first two UFC fights, even the fight that she lost against Yasmin Jargui, that was a tit-for-tat, striking affair. Two high-level fighters. You guys remember, right, when that fight ended, that's what we were talking about, how high-level the striking was from both those fighters. And against Brogan Walker, I really enjoyed watching her just put a clinic on Brogan on the feet. But Brogan, a low-level fighter, that's one thing I was worried about a little bit. But Lucindo's the real deal. I'm letting you guys know that right now. She's extremely young. She's well-rounded. She felt that she went through the adversity early, got taken down, worked her way back up, took Poliana Viana down, pulled off an arm triangle choke, showing different elements of her game now too, grappling and striking. She's a promising fighter. Khalil Roundtree cracks Chris Daukaus. We knew we had question marks about Chris Daukaus there, and once again facing a dangerous striker. Now he dropped down in weight, looked good for the first 30 seconds, and then was cracked and put out there. Now, this one I'm going to talk about here for a second. All right. I had a video that I put up on Instagram. I made a little story for those of you guys that saw it. I thought that they did Cub Swanson extremely dirty, did the UFC broadcast team with this fight, okay? Cub Swanson, okay, I did have Hakeem Dawadu winning this fight 2-1. Slightly, though. I thought Hakeem Dawadu looked very good in the second round, bloodied Cub Swanson up, and he was outlanding him extensively in the second round. In the first round, Hakeem Dawadu was very poised with his guard up and whatnot, but Cub Swanson, he was doing his little, that loosey-goosey type of striking style. He was loose on his feet. He actually cracked Hakeem with two heavy shots in the first round. If you guys forgot about that, Hakeem Dawadu landed nothing with his hands in the first round. He slightly outstruck Cub Swanson. The majority of those strikes were counter leg kicks. Cub Swanson was out of position a couple times, and Hakeem would whip him with the leg kick. That round was very close. And when the broadcast team was saying Cub Swanson needs a finish in this third round, otherwise he's going to lose, I right away when I heard that, this was before the official scoring, I was saying to myself, what the hell are they talking about? We watch fights all the time, especially with the way that the judging's been over the last couple of years. How in the hell do they know that he needs to get a finish here? That first round was definitely up for grabs. You don't know which way the judges were going to go there. And then I definitely had Cub Swanson winning that third round. He solidified that takedown with ease, rained down some ground and pound, and finished the fight strongly, and I gave him the third round. But I did edge Hakeem in that first round, but I thought it was very close. And the reason why I said they did Cub dirty was for the sheer fact that, his family's there. He's almost 40 years old, just got a big victory. It was close. He kept it close enough that, that's the fight game, man. This is the UFC. We see close calls go one way or another all the time. We see fighters get gypped on close fights all the time. So now DC's going to go out there, put the mic in his face, and he's going to say, you lost the fight. You know what I mean? With his family there, his kids there, watching him like front row like that. Might have been the first time that they did that. I think it was. I think DC did him dirty. And then you know what? Cub Swanson's just the type of guy, he's always going to be hard on himself. If you know what Cub Swanson's about, that's how he always is. And he didn't perform to the level that he wanted to. So yeah, he's going to go along with DC and be like, yeah, I don't think I won the fight, but he was set up to say all that, man. The guy just was in a brawl. He's in a fight, man. He's not thinking clearly. Cub Swanson's, you know what I mean? He's not thinking clearly. And DC's leading him to go down that route. How about you clean up your questioning and just give the guy some praise there for, you could say it was a very close fight. You don't got to kind of, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. And again, I did have Akeem Dawadu taking this fight very slightly, okay, with the first and the second round for sure. The third, okay. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I know some of you guys are probably going to get annoyed. I'm sure that disrupted a lot of your parlays, and a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, no, it's an absolute robbery. I didn't think it was an absolute robbery. I've seen way worse where the commentary team doesn't really say that much. So that annoyed me. And then we had Vicente Luque. Talk about annoy me. Vicente Luque annoyed me. All of a sudden, he goes out there, takedown defense looks great, and he's taking down Rafael dos Anjos against the cage, and he ekes out. Essentially, he wins 3 rounds to 2. I had RDA winning 2 rounds. Luque did enough to take 3 for sure. And, I actually, if I'm being honest with you guys, I actually cashed out on this play live. I was getting frustrated, and I did not like the way that this fight was going. RDA had a little bit of success. I think it was in the 4th round, and I was able to cash my play out for essentially half of what I put down, which let's just say, for example, I had $1,000 play, right? I was able to get about $488 back, essentially. I was happy to snatch that money back because I did not feel that he was going to get his hand raised once I saw the way the fight was going, and obviously he didn't. And RDA, it's kind of sad to say this because I've always been a huge RDA fan. Age is definitely catching up with him. He's 38 years old. He was trying to press the takedowns. He wasn't able to, and it gassed him out. And I thought that he should have mixed things up a lot more. He was very hesitant on the feet as well. I know that Luque is very good and very polished, but RDA was having success when he was throwing. I wish he would have threw that body kick more, threw some heavy hooks at Luque. Luque was just coming off a knockout loss. I did not like the way RDA looked. He looked extremely hesitant, and I worry for him. I saw in an interview after I had this play already announced and whatnot, that he was saying that he only has a couple fights left. If he was to stay in the lightweight division, he only has about 2-3 more fights left. When I heard that, I did not like that. And I did not like to hear that. And that kind of made me a little hesitant there, but I was already in on it. So, that was a frustrating card for me, but a fun one to watch. A lot of fun fights. And hopefully you guys did great out there. I'm looking for a big bounce back card for UFC 292. And I really, really like my spot. So hopefully you guys checked that video out already. Actually, it's going to pop up right here as we close out. You guys can click on it, and I appreciate all your guys' support. Signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This the MMA fortune teller. Yeah.
The MMA fortune teller.
The teller.